Welcome back to Corner Cafe. I am Rachel Maines, and I am thrilled about our next guest. We have Houston Cowan, and he's with Challenge America for our nonprofit feature. Welcome, Houston.
It's great to be here, and just thank you so much for finding me up in the Rocky Mountains up here to do this interview.
Yes, whereabouts are you in the Rocky Mountains?
In Carbondale.
Okay, nice.
The beautiful town of Carbondale, and we're getting snow, and it's heading Denver's way. So I'll be somewhat of the weather guy here.
I'm kind of sick of snow, I'll tell you the truth. But, that's a special part of Colorado is our beautiful mountains and the snow. And are you a big skier?
I am. And that's has a lot to do how I've come to be on your show. And it's kind of really how it started. So.
Yeah, so the Challenge America, wow, what an amazing organization. For our listeners who aren't familiar, explain what it is that you guys do.
Well, very simply, Rachel, we connect veterans and service members, which are active duty, and even, I think, most importantly, families, to solutions and resources in their community to give them a better quality of life. So as we talk more, it'll define what that means because it's a general mission. But our tagline is very simple: is we put our military first.
Yes, and I'm certain that often veterans feel forgotten after they come back. And there's a lot of challenges with PTSD and all that. So with all that, how did you, as the founder, get involved in this? You saw a need, or was it a family member that was a veteran, or was it yourself? How did you decide, this is something I have a passion to do to serve our veterans?
Well, simply put, I came out to Aspen, Colorado in 1991 because I always enjoyed skiing here. And that day I was skiing, there was a blind skier going down the mountain on a run that was very difficult for me to ski. And I got so intrigued. I was living in Chicago, and I ended up finding out who it was and contacted them and just asked them how in the world did they ski. And they had a guide behind them, and left turn, right turn, stop, but very good skier. And I left the financial world in Chicago and just decided for a year to come out and learn how to teach blind people to ski. So
wow.
To fast forward, that was in 1991. I got intrigued with other disabilities, not necessarily veterans, during that time in 92, 93, teaching up here in Aspen, skiing. And I really had to decide I either need to go back to Chicago or just really, I really think it was a calling that I left a world of you go to work every day to make $1 into $2. And I found something that it didn't matter how much money you had,
right.
And so I decided to move here and founded an organization called Challenge Aspen, which was a year-round program, recreation program for people with disabilities. To fast forward to 1999, we started working with disabled veterans, and needless to say, 9/11 happened in 2001. And unfortunately, we knew we were going to really have a lot more clientele coming to our program. And so we did, and we became a teaching organization to teach others how to teach disabled veterans. And in 2009, to fast forward, our program grew so much that I went to a dear friend of mine who you might know, but Amy Grant and her husband Vince Gill in Nashville, who I've known many, many years, and they were a big part of Challenge Aspen. And I just went and sat in their living room and said, "Listen, we got to do something for our vets." And So I want to start Challenge America and get communities and families involved, not with them going to Aspen, Colorado and Disney World and all these great places, because they'll only probably do that once. Mm-hmm. And to fast forward, Vince Gill and Amy Grant became honorary co-founders of Challenge America. We opened at the Kennedy Center in June of 2009. And it became a national organization that grew to all 50 states, and again we teach others to kind of do what we do, but we want it to stay right home in small town America to downtown Manhattan. So right. That's kind of the short story of how Challenge America got started from a previous organization that I've been leading and founding for 25 years.
Wow. I love your story of leaving, Chicago to do this. And this is a passion that you don't, really care how much you get paid, or it's just something that you just love to do, and you're changing lives. And that's the footprint we should all want to leave when we leave this earth. I'm sure you have tons of stories, but is there one that sticks out of somebody that you guys have helped, and it's just a wow story of how his or her life got changed and turned around?
Well, you're right. There's a lot of stories, and we look at, and again, we work with all veterans, not just disabled veterans and active service members. But in 1998, a young lady named Zanetta came to our Challenge Aspen program. It's called CAMO, Challenge Aspen Military Opportunities. And we did our first female-only week to come out and to teach our female veterans together and to let them have peers with them. And Zanetta came out, and she was a very gifted young woman, and she had been a sergeant in the Army. Her husband was a disabled veteran. She was injured in Iraq. When she came back home, they had two sets of twins and adopted a fifth child and live in Michigan. And the long story short, Zanetta came back and wanted to go to law school, and I was able to walk her down the aisle at Cooley Law School at Michigan State. And today she is the head of all Veterans Affairs for the state of Michigan. Wow. And she was asked to go to Washington, D.C. to be with the VA. And she and their family have been a model to me. And she's on our board of directors also at Challenge America.
Wow. I love that story. Changing lives. And, here at the Corner Cafe, we share the story and heart of an artist. And I see that you guys do arts as well. How's that program going? Because arts, for us, of course, is something that's necessary, and it really inspires us. In the arts, we got to take care of the arts. We have to make sure that we're using our gifts in that area. Why did you guys decide to focus in on that?
Well, needless to say, you said it earlier, Rachel, about having, all the things we hear about PTSD. Our men and women are coming home, and what are they coming home to? But everybody kind of forgets that they went, they went into the military, and they didn't go in with a disability, and many of them were artists and musicians and so on and so forth. So one of our programs is called CAV Arts, Challenge America Veterans Art, and it's become an incredibly successful art program. There's over 3,000 members, and we just finished our first year anniversary, and we're in all 50 states, and we're in 12 countries around the world for active duty military. Wow. And we just did a national arts contest, if you will, for the winners to be in the National Veterans Museum, which is in downtown Chicago, and it had over 900 submissions coming to it.
Wow.
So the Veterans Arts Program is not only become tremendous, but we've been able to combine it with our music therapy program, because we've got guitars that we have different artists. I mean, some of them very famous artists around the country that design these the art that goes on the guitars.
Wow.
And that's what the veterans get when they come into the program. So it's really not only taken off, but the VA now has taken it across the country in each of the VAs for their therapy programs.
Wow, I love that. Yes, and musical therapy is huge, and just in the arts in general is huge to be able to heal. So I'm very intrigued with that program, and in future we'd like to have you back, and maybe even one of your artists, a musical artist, back on the show to share their song.
They would love that, because the music therapy program, and needless to say, when you have Vince Gill and Amy Grant as co-founders, and their access to musicians and songwriters,
yeah.
It's not trying to teach a G and a C chord, but what the program is really all about is to get very gifted songwriters that have, many of them, maybe people hadn't heard of them, but they've done many number one hits.
Right.
And but Vince and Amy they have a beautiful 800-acre farm outside of Franklin, Tennessee, and we use that as our home base. So our veterans come there with our songwriters, and they all go up. And this farm was where part of the Civil War was fought, and they just go out, and for 3 to 4 days they just reach deep in their souls, and the songwriters come up and with the veterans write a story, and many of the times it's truly about what has happened with them, and it's not all negative things,
right.
but the majority of it is to get post-traumatic stress. I mean, we all could use it at times,
right.
And then at the end they do a big concert, and we had the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame up in Cleveland invite us to come up, and we had some great artists that were just blown away by these veterans that the last thing they ever thought of. They went from a field in Iraq to being on the stage at the Hall of Fame, and some of the songs have just some of the artists have taken on these songs. So
wow.
That's become a big part of the VA, and our military sisterhood program is again, it's all female, and they're doing probably the largest of our music therapy in Muskegon, Oklahoma in June.
Wow.
So they've all melted together very well, and the recipe has become great with programs without us trying to do everything for everybody.
Right. And what I see is you guys really are making a community, with the arts. Is the community really, they get to go, and what a treat to hang out with Amy Grant and Vince and be able to share their gift and be able to do all that. Well, I want to keep in touch with you and what you guys are doing, have you guys back for a future show. So that would be great. Thank you for what you're doing. And we have on our website how to get in touch with you guys, and it's just challengeamerica.com, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Well, we're going to keep in touch. Absolutely. We're going to go to a break. We'll be right back.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the Java Jive, and it loves me. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup.